Welcome back to Resilience+RISE, a podcast where resilience is not just a concept. We are continuing our conversation with Dr. Robyn Lynette, wherein we spoke about the challenges, whether it was about being in a cult life, whether it was the abuses that she went through, whether it was about the trauma, and how she changed to be the person that she is at this point of time. Whether we are talking about an author, an athlete, a management coach, you name it, she has got quite a bit of things in her kitty to prove that she is over here to ready to make the change. So, welcome back, Dr. Robyn.
Oh, thank you, Thomas.
So, we last time we stopped our conversation with you decided to move away from the second marriage, and you realized there was a lot of gaslighting, and even in the first one, there was a lot of abuse, etc. But was there a time wherein there was a lot of physical abuse or anything? I mean, in fact, because when I'm reading about your background, I see that there have been a lot of challenges.
Mm.
So, did this hinder towards you being physically abused, or wherein things really just got out of hand? And what happened that time?
Yeah, so my parents were definitely big on corporal punishment. And
Okay.
in the book, I'd like to thank the cartel for getting me out of the cult. I do have a chapter where I talk about the last time each one of my parents hit me, because that is something that sticks out in my mind. So I do talk about that. And then there are 3 chapters in the book where I talk about being assaulted 3 times before I was 18. Each of those chapters come with a trigger warning. And I want your readers to know that if that kind of trauma is not something that they can deal with right now, they can literally just skip those chapters and they won't miss a lot of the story. Like, they can still read the book, the story will still make sense. But all of the physical abuse that I talk about in my book does come with trigger warnings.
Okay. So when I look into that, there has been a lot of upheavals, if I would
Mm.
say that rightly, in your life.
Mhm.
But the way you transformed, yes, I can see those beautiful degrees behind you. There was always a choice. You could have been something else. You said that you were working in a bank, so you could have got into a corporate world, or you could have got into something else.
Mm.
What made you tune into being a coach, or
Mm.
being that transformational transformational analyst to help people to break their own boundaries?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I did start out in the corporate space. I spent 14 years working in the corporate world. And then between my 2 marriages, I mentioned briefly, I got to play some competitive beach volleyball.
Okay.
And the thing that was interesting about that is, yeah, I won some money. I was a pretty decent athlete, but there were days that I could get on the court and I could do no wrong. The ball went where I wanted it to go. I picked up everything. Like, I just did great. And then there were days where I would get on the court and my partner would hold the ball out to me and say, "Robyn, this is a volleyball. Have you ever seen one before?"
Hmm.
Because my game was just gone. And so
Okay.
when I had the opportunity to go to college when I was 32, I knew I wanted to study high performance. I knew I wanted to understand, what is it about us as humans that sometimes we can be so on and it just works and it flows and it's easy. And other times in exactly the same situation, we can't make it work to save our lives. And so when I went to college, that was my goal, is how do I understand high performance? And what I realized is, to get an undergrad, they don't have an undergrad in high performance. That's not a thing. And
Hmm.
so I did my clinical psychology work in undergrad. But then when I got to grad school, I was really fortunate. I got to work under a nationally known sports psychologist. He was my dissertation chair.
Yeah.
And so I got to study high performance from the sports side. And then my dissertation, where I did leadership, communication, and conflict resolution for a D1 swim team, I went into the research and looked at high performance as athletes, high performance in the military, and high performance in business, and combined it all together in my dissertation. And so when I got out, I was like, this is what do I want to apply my work to?
And your past life, what impact did it have on your steps ahead.
When you say steps ahead, do you mean starting now or starting when I
Yeah,
got out of starting
yeah.
now? Well, so the biggest thing, this is the first time I'm saying this out loud publicly, so I'm going to share it on this podcast. My parents don't know about this book yet.
Okay.
And I have a decent relationship with them. We're not, acrimonious in our relationship. They're not malicious. They're not mean. But I do know that past life, the stories that I tell, some of it, they're not in a great light. And I say in the book, they love me. Maybe not the way I wish they did. But so that for me, that's how does my past life affecting me now? That right now is the thing that I'm thinking about a lot is, do I tell them? Do I not tell them? Do I send them a copy? Do I just let them find out if I end up on the Today Show? Like, how does that work?
What's going on in your mind right now on that?
Oh, you should never try to get blood from a turnip. Don't ask for something from people that they don't have to give.
Okay.
And I wish that I could just say my parents would be proud of me. And I know that's not true, right? I know they're going to be disappointed. They're going to look at it from their point of view. They're going to tell me they're not a cult. They're going to, all the things. And so what I wish is blood from a turnip. They don't have to give what I want from them. So the second best option is, can it be as less trauma as possible? That's not well said. I don't know how else to say it.
Fair enough. It's coming from the heart. It comes to the next element of the question is that you mentioned awareness and truth can turn survival into strength. What do we mean by that? So
if we never look at our past, we're destined to repeat it, because the easiest thing to do is to let today be a reoccurrence of yesterday, and then tomorrow will be exactly the same thing. So you just keep repeating the same patterns. So the question I love to ask my clients, this is my favorite question, I included it in the book: what do you want to be different? And that's a different question than what's your goal, what's your dream, what's your plan? What do you want to be different? Because that gives you the opportunity to really look at yesterday and say, if I could redo yesterday, what would be different? And if you can do that, then today, because the solution is always in the present, solutions in the present, today you can make different. You can make a change. You can deal with psychological barriers. You can handle something differently. The problem is, for human beings, our motivation is in the future, right? If I make change today, I'm probably not going to see a big change, a big like, oh, it was amazing today. That's down the road. And that was the case for me. Like, it took me a long time to get to the point where I am now. So the motivation for our change is in the future. So what we have to do is find that motivation for our future self, who is someone we don't know. And as human beings, we do not do a good job of doing things for people we don't know. But find that motivation for our future self, drag it into today, look at yesterday and see what we want to be different, and make that change today in the present.
Nice. Actually, the next question will be a segue to this one, is that to the listeners, what would be around 3 to 5 suggestions? I'm not asking for advice, but 3 to 5 suggestions from what your history has taught you, whether it is about the past life with your parents, with your husbands, with your learning, with your growing, breaking the shackles after the age of 30, get into something. For a lot of people, once they go through that particular phase, they feel that's it, their life is done. This is what they have been meant to be. But taking on the opportunity, even the fact that you realized volleyball was not just a pastime, but something that you could evolve from. What I've heard from you, Robyn, is that you have made it, life was happening, a difference between to me or for me, wherein you have evolved. And again, as I found fondly say, is that those particular wounds have become your broken wings, that now we are holding on another person who has got broken wings and you're flying higher.
Mm.
So around 3 to 5 suggestions for people who may be going through some trauma. It may be not as
Yeah.
similar, but something. What would you say?
The most powerful thing I can share, and I'd love to have a little conversation about this and see what you think, is that it may not be your fault. It probably isn't your fault, but it is your problem, which means it's your responsibility to fix it. And I see so many people, and this is true of clients and non-clients alike, where they spend so much time placing blame. My parents, my ex-business partner, my ex-life partner, this person, that person, they did this to me, they did that to me. And I could write you an entire book of litany of things that people have done to me that have held me back and made me work harder than I wanted to. But blame doesn't move you forward. So it's not your fault. It is your problem.
Anything else that comes up?
Well, and I guess part of that, which comes, and I'm looking over here at my notes because I have some things about psychological barriers, about not your fault, but it is your problem. And we self-sabotage, right?
True.
Human being, and I'm guilty of it. We self-sabotage. You probably saw my post where there was a post I put on LinkedIn, I guess a week ago or so. I really needed to record a video for my website. My web designer, my husband, Russ, was really wanting a video for my website, and I needed to record it. I did not want to. And you know what I did? I spent the whole day playing with my succulent plants. Right? Now, self-sabotage, potentially, definitely procrastination. But then equally, I recently saw a post where somebody was talking about go, drive, succeed, do the thing, be determined. And I'm like, yes, but if your brain and body are exhausted, play with your succulent plants for a day. It's okay. The world's not going to end. So I think that understanding that we self-sabotage and recognizing it when it happens and then doing something about it. And the next day I recorded the video and it's fine and it's on the website and it worked and no worries. So one day's not so bad, but don't let it turn into two. What is it they say in Atomic Habits? Never miss twice.
Twice, yes, that's true. So guys, again, as I mentioned, is that Robyn's website as well as her links will be posted on the comments down below. Do have a look if this podcast is intriguing you. So when we talk about the challenges, now you mentioned, okay, one day is okay. But for when I look at it, for me also, I am as guilty as you. As that there are times wherein though I'm a strong advocate of accountability and procrastination and all these particular things, but I am guilty of procrastinating time and again. So what is that one mantra or one spiel at times you give yourself and say that it's okay, let's move on? What is that statement, or it may be a mindset or maybe some trigger that allows you to say that?
For me, and this was true when I was married to my first husband and true when I was going to college and true when I was married to my second husband, just do the next right thing. Right? One step. And it doesn't have to be a step that is earth-shattering, or it could be a step in the wrong direction and you could recognize, oh, that's the wrong direction. I kind of jokingly say, you could be on the right track and you'll still get run over if you just sit there.
Absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely.
Just take whatever the next right one step is.
Fantastic. And now that you are in the space of coaching and helping underperformers or performers to grow further, what else can you say about the space that you are in? What else do you help people with?
Oh, goodness, so many things. In the space between executive coach and therapy and strategy, whether it's business strategy or life strategy, that space where it's lonely, that space where you can't talk to your boss, or if you are the boss, or your board, or your investors, you don't want to get a vote of non-confidence. I had one client say, I don't want to take it home to my spouse because that just ruins the night for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've asked clients, when you really need to get something off your chest, you really need to talk through something, who are you talking to before you had me? And they'll say things like the stranger on the airplane, the massage therapist, strippers, bartenders, taxi drivers, like literally anyone. But once they have me, then we can actually build a rapport. And I get phone calls like a Saturday, a client called me on a Saturday, his ringtone, they get individual ringtones on my phone. And he called me and he said, Robyn, my dad just went on life support. I'm the executor. Help me decide if I have to kill my dad today. And that's the level of trust that my clients have in me. Now, did I give him medical advice? Absolutely not. But I gave him human support to help him deal with his brother's opinions and his ex-wife's opinions and his grown children's opinions in a really, really tough time. And a business example, I had a client call me and say, Robyn, I just realized my best friend and CEO has been embezzling money for about 18 months. I think I'm out at least 1.5 million. Did I help him sort through the logistics of that? Yeah, we talked about that. But more than that, we dealt with the betrayal. And that's one of the hardest things as a human being is you have to forgive yourself for believing someone who lied to you.
Actually, that's a very powerful word about forgiveness, especially what you have gone through. How was the journey about forgiveness for you?
There have been times in my life where I was very angry, especially at my second ex-husband. I was very angry. I used to jokingly say I thought he needed high velocity lead poisoning. But I've realized that that doesn't serve me. And I say this in the book too, for those of us who are here to grow and to learn and to become better people, unfortunately, the world needs assholes to teach us. I'm just glad I'm done with him. I don't need that particular asshole to learn anymore.
Mm. And how was the growth once you did the forgiveness? Because forgiveness, I believe, is always hindered by ego. Forgiveness is always hindered by the hurt.
And I think
Forgiveness is
that people think forgiveness means that you allow the other person back into your life, or that you allow them to behave badly again. You know, my ex used to say that, well, I said I was sorry, you can just forgive me. But then he'd repeat it. I'm sorry means I know I hurt you and I won't let it happen again. I'm sorry and I repeat to hurt you is abuse. And so for me, it wasn't a matter of allowing that kind of behavior in my life. I actually replied to a comment on LinkedIn today where someone said, how do you deal with people who are ambiguous and sometimes are mean and sometimes are nice? And I said, I don't let them be in my life. So for me, it's about letting go of the hurt and the anger. For me, it has nothing to do with them. They can go live their terrible life somewhere else.
okay. Let's move on to something else. Now, we have got your book releasing in by November, middle of November, right?
Middle of November, yeah, 17th.
That's just a week or two from now. And what are your plans in the next few months? Now that your book will be launched, you're already in a coach and speaker, etc. So what is there something, or what are the plans that if you would want the audience to know, what's in the pipeline?
Well, I'm currently working on the marketing and the media for the book, which I think is going to take up a lot of my time, doing press releases and interviews and all those kind of things that I'm hopeful will come from the book so that it can reach as big of audience as it can. And then I have to continue to support my clients. That is what I do. It's why they pay me. I have to be available for them. So I can't get too overbooked. And I never really intend to write a book. It just kind of happens, which is a bizarre thing to say for someone who's written 4 books now. So I don't know if there'll be another one. Right now, I'll tell you, no, I'm done. But who knows? I may do another one. I know I have a business coach who wants me to write a book called Founders Under Fire. And I've kicked it around. I've thought about it some, and we'll see. I might write a book called Founders Under Fire. I also have an idea in my head for something about from founder to CEO, because what it takes to have a good idea is completely different from what it takes to bring it to market. And that transition is really hard for a lot of people. So I've thought about helping, because I do that transition with startup founders. If I can make it into a book where it's readable, maybe I'll write something called From Founder to CEO.
Beautiful. When you're talking about the cartel, what's one of the key takeaways let me rephrase, key takeaway from the book that you want the readers, or it would have been a light that would have come to you and said that, okay, this is what going to be one of my key takeaway. What would that be?
Oh, absolutely, and without question, is you can make it through if you just keep moving. There's an old country song that the chorus is something like, when you're going through hell, keep on going, you might get out before the devil knows you're there.
Huh.
And that idea that you don't have to be stuck, you can make choices, you can take the next right one step, and you will get out. I can't tell you when. I mean, I went around in a circle for 40 years, but I did eventually get out. I did learn that lesson and move forward.
I mean, that's one of the singular truth is that when people say you are enough, everybody has got the resilience. That's what I talk in my book, is that resilience is present in everybody. It's just that you got to keep at it. And it's easy to at times, a lot of times say, yeah, it's easy for you to say, you're in a jacket, I'm in a jacket, I've got a pretty cool house and things like that. And
Yeah.
It's easy for you to say, but then each one of us still go through our own private hell. We do carry our own crosses, or we do carry the weight, which the world may not see, but we do have that to weigh us down.
The one thing I guess I need to say about resilience is that I do feel like sometimes people wear it like a badge, and it gets, they stop kicking themselves for falling down and start celebrating that they're getting up, which is awesome. But then they become hard. And the best advice I ever got was, Robyn, you are resilient. Stop making decisions that make you prove it.
Love that. Love that.
So just because you can get up doesn't mean you should do things that make you fall down.
Of course. And that's such a beautiful and a hard truth also, is that just because it has happened, you don't want to show it to the world that, hey, you know what, let me fall down again and show you how I'm getting up.
Right.
Sometimes life teaches you in a more difficult way, and then you got to eat the humble pie.
Yeah. Love difficult people from a distance. That's my recommendation.
But then it's all the way we look at the way I look at it is that it's always a learning curve. Anyway, Robyn, so with this, I would like to conclude our session. Thank you so very much for your space and time. It has been a beautiful journey. And guys, again, if this podcast has resonated in some way or the other, do reach out to Robyn, connect with her. And there might be something which may be stirring within you. You may want to ask a question. Connect with her. Maybe you can ask a question. Or when the book is out, you might find the answers in that. Okay, but we are over here to talk to you, to help you out maybe in the next step. As Robyn said, just one more step in the right direction could make a difference. Maybe that could open the doors that you have been always waiting for. So Robyn, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Thomas.
Best wishes for your launch of the book, and I wish you an amazing success on that.
Thank you so much.